Alan Carter rubbed his tired eyes and leaned back in his chair. The small office at Arecibo Observatory was quiet at 3 a.m., just the way he liked it. The soft hum of computers and the occasional beep from the monitoring equipment were his only companions. He reached for his coffee mug, found it empty, and sighed. For 3 years he had been scanning the same section of the Orion Arm, hoping to find something, anything that might suggest intelligent life beyond Earth. Most of his colleagues had moved on to more promising projects. Only he remained stubborn, convinced there was something out there. The computer alert sound made him jump. He spilled his empty mug onto his pants and cursed. Then he saw the screen and forgot all about the coffee. The pattern recognition software had flagged something unusual. Very unusual. This can't be right, he whispered to himself. The signal was unlike anything he had ever seen. Perfect mathematical sequences repeating in a pattern that couldn't possibly be natural. He grabbed his phone and called Lisa Brennan. 20 minutes later, Lisa rushed into the office, her curly hair wild and uncombed. "This better be good, Alan. It's the middle of the night." "Look at this," he said, pointing to his screen. "Tell me I'm not crazy." Lisa leaned over his shoulder, her eyes widening as she studied the signal. "Where is this coming from?" "That's the weird part," Alan said. "It's not coming from deep space toward us. It's coming from somewhere in our solar system and going outward, toward the Sagittarius Arm." "Someone sending a message? Who?" Alan shook his head. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's strong and clearly artificial." For the next 3 days, Alan and Lisa barely left the observatory. They brought in food, set up cots in the break room, and worked around the clock to decode the signal. What they found turned their excitement to fear. "These are coordinates," Lisa said, pointing to a sequence on the screen. "And these numbers here? They match up perfectly with Earth's orbital patterns, mass, atmospheric composition." Alan nodded slowly, the terrible truth dawning on him. Someone is sending information about Earth to someone else, but who? And why? The answer came from an unexpected section of the signal. "Look at this," Lisa said, highlighting a repeating pattern. These could be deployment formations, military formations. Alan's blood ran cold. "We need to call someone, now." Within hours, the observatory was swarming with government officials. The signal was confirmed by 3 other radio telescopes. Around the world, there was no mistake, so someone or something was broadcasting detailed information about Earth's defenses, resources, and vulnerabilities to a location over 10,000 light-years away. A week later, Alan and Lisa found themselves in a top-secret facility beneath the Pentagon, explaining their findings to a room full of military officers and scientists. "Based on the signal strength and direction," Alan explained, "we believe Earth has less than 6 months before this invasion fleet arrives." The room erupted in panicked voices. General Williams pounded his fist on the table. "Quiet!" he shouted. When the room fell silent, he turned to Alan. "How confident are you in this timeline, Doctor?" "Very," Alan replied. "The signal contains what we believe are travel coordinates and speed calculations. If these aliens use technology even remotely, similar to what we understand about physics, 6 months is our best estimate." A man in a naval uniform stood up from the back of the room. "Sir, permission to speak?" General Williams nodded. "Go ahead, Lieutenant Commander Morrison." Jack Morrison walked to the front of the room. Unlike the other military personnel present, he seemed calm, almost thoughtful. "Dr. Carter, you said this signal is going out from our solar system, correct?" "Yes. We haven't pinpointed the exact location, but it's definitely within our solar system." "Then whoever sent it is already here," Morrison said. "Possibly some kind of advanced scout or automated probe." "That's our thinking," Lisa agreed. Morrison nodded. "I have a question. If these aliens are advanced enough to send scouts across the galaxy and organize invasion fleets, why would they need to send radio signals? Wouldn't they have faster-than-light communication?" Alan shrugged. "We can only guess at their technology. Maybe they don't have FTL communication. Or maybe this is just their standard procedure. Or maybe," Morrison said, "they're confident enough that they don't care if we detect the signal. Maybe they think we're too primitive to do anything about The room was silent as everyone considered this possibility. "What are you suggesting, Commander?" General Williams asked. Morrison smiled slightly. "I'm suggesting that if they think we're primitive, we use that against them. We can't fight them yet. We don't have the technology or the weapons, but we can trick them." "Trick an advanced alien civilization?" Someone scoffed. "Yes," Morrison said firmly. "We send our own signal, a warning designed to make Earth appear far more dangerous than it actually is." General Williams frowned. "Elaborate." "We broadcast what appears to be leaked military communications about our defenses we don't actually have. We make Earth sound like a death trap for any invasion force." For the next several hours, the room debated Morrison's plan. Some thought it was foolish, a waste of precious time. Others saw it as their only hope. In the end, the decision was made to pursue two tracks simultaneously. Morrison would lead a team to create and send the false warning, while the world's militaries would prepare for the worst-case scenario. "There's one more thing," Alan said, as the meeting was breaking up. "The signal we intercepted, it wasn't meant for us to find. But someone made a mistake in the transmission. A very specific kind of mistake that almost seems deliberate." "What are you saying, Doctor?" General Williams asked. "I'm saying there's a chance, a small one, that someone wants us to know we're in danger. Maybe not everyone in this alien civilization agrees with the invasion plan." Morrison nodded thoughtfully. "If that's true, then our warning signal might find sympathetic ears." As Alan left the Pentagon that night, he looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, an invasion fleet was being assembled. Earth had 6 months to prepare a deception that might save humanity. He thought about how his search for alien life had finally succeeded, but not in the way he had hoped. Instead of a friendly greeting from the stars, they had discovered a threat. Yet somehow he felt a strange sense of hope. Humanity had always been good at one thing above all others: surviving against the odds. The clock was ticking. The greatest deception in human history was about to begin. Jack Morrison stood before the hastily assembled team of scientists, military officers, and government officials in the underground facility that had been dubbed Project Warning. 3 weeks had passed since the discovery of the alien signal, and time was running out. "We need to make our message believable," he said, pointing to the large screen behind him. "If we claim to have technology that defies the laws of physics as we understand them, they'll know we're bluffing." Olivia Wright raised her hand. She was a quantum physicist from MIT with wild red hair and a mind that few could keep up with. "Actually, I've been working on something that might help with that." All eyes turned to her as she walked to the front of the room. "Quantum entanglement allows particles to affect each other instantly across any distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. My team has been developing a way to use this for communication." "Faster than light?" someone asked. "Theoretically, yes," she replied. "We've only tested it across short distances, but the math suggests it should work across any distance. If we can send our message this way, it would immediately suggest to the aliens that we have technology far beyond what they might expect from us." General Williams frowned. "How reliable is this technology, Doctor?" "Not very," Olivia admitted. "But it doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to send one message successfully, just enough to make them doubt their intelligence about us." Morrison nodded. "That's perfect. Dr. Wright, you'll lead the team developing the quantum transmitter. Now we need to decide what our message will say." Frank Delgado, a NASA engineer with 20 years of experience, spoke up. "I've been working with my team to repurpose the radio telescope array in New Mexico. We can use it to broadcast a traditional signal as backup in case the quantum transmitter fails." "Good thinking," Morrison said. "Now for the content of the message itself. I suggest we make it seem like we've intercepted casual military chatter. Nothing directed at them specifically. That would be too obvious. Just conversations between our ships that they happen to overhear." Alan Carter, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "Ships we don't have, using technology we don't possess." "Exactly," Morrison grinned. "We talk about our galactic defense grid and our antimatter torpedoes. We mention our dimensional phase shields like they're everyday technology. Lisa Brennan tapped her pen against her notepad. We should also reference previous alien encounters. Make it sound like this isn't the first time we've dealt with hostile species. Good, Morrison agreed. We'll mention other invasion attempts that were easily repelled by Earth's defenses. We'll talk about how unfortunate it was that we had to destroy the entire fleet. Over the next month, the team worked around the clock. Olivia's quantum transmitter took shape in a lab beneath the New Mexico desert, while Frank's team modified the radio telescope array to serve as a backup. Morrison, Alan, and Lisa crafted the message, careful to use mathematical principles they believed would be universally understood. The final message was a masterpiece of deception. It contained what appeared to be routine communications between Earth's non-existent defense fleet and various orbital stations. The communications casually mentioned Earth's extensive colonization of nearby star systems and referenced powerful alien allies with whom Earth had mutual defense pacts. The day of transmission arrived. The entire team gathered in the control room in New Mexico. President Carol Hudson had flown in for the occasion, her face grim with the weight of what was at stake. "All systems are ready," Olivia reported, her fingers dancing over her keyboard. "Quantum transmitter is aligned with the coordinates from the alien signal. Backup system is ready as well," Frank added. Morrison looked at the president, who nodded. "Send it," he said. Olivia pressed a series of keys. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the screens flickered and the quantum transmitter hummed loudly before falling silent. "Did it work?" President Hudson asked. "I think so," Olivia said, checking her readings. The entangled particles showed the expected state changes. "In theory, the message was sent instantly." "Let's not take chances," Morrison said. "Frank, send the backup transmission as well." Frank nodded and activated the radio telescope array. The massive dishes moved in unison, pointing toward a specific spot in the night sky. The backup signal began its journey, traveling at the speed of light toward the distant Sagittarius arm. "Now we wait," Alan said quietly. The wait was excruciating. Days passed with no sign that their message had been received or had any effect. The team remained at the facility, analyzing deep space readings for any hint of the invasion fleet. A week after the transmission, Alan burst into the control room, waving a printout. "We've got something. The deep space monitors at Arecibo just picked up massive energy signatures in the Sagittarius arm." The team huddled around the screens as new data came in. The readings showed enormous power fluctuations, consistent with dozens, perhaps hundreds, of large vessels changing course. "They're stopping," Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The invasion fleet is halting its advance." Cheers erupted around the room, but Morrison remained cautious. "Wait. Look at this." He pointed to a smaller cluster of readings breaking away from the main group. "Not all of them have stopped. A smaller contingent is still heading our way." The celebration died down as quickly as it had begun. "What does it mean?" President Hudson asked. "It means they're sending a reconnaissance force," Morrison said. "They're not sure if our message is true, so they're sending a smaller group to investigate." Alan studied the readings more carefully. "Based on these energy signatures, I'd estimate we have about 3 more months before they reach our solar system." President Hudson straightened her shoulders. "Then we have 3 months to prepare. The deception worked once, the main fleet has halted. Now we need to convince this reconnaissance force that we're exactly as powerful as we claim to be." "And how do we do that," Lisa asked, "when we don't actually have any of the defenses we bragged about?" The room fell silent. Finally, Morrison spoke. "We build them." "In 3 months?" Frank asked incredulously. "No," Morrison said. "We build just enough to maintain the illusion. Movie sets instead of actual bases. Light shows instead of weapon systems. We make Earth look like a fortress from a distance." President Hudson nodded slowly. "It's our only chance. Let's get to work." As the team dispersed to begin the next phase of their desperate plan, Alan found himself staring at the star map showing the aliens' position. The message had bought them time, but the real test was still to come. Humanity's greatest performance. was about to begin, and the entire planet was the stage. The world changed in ways no one could have predicted. President Hudson made the difficult decision to reveal the truth to the public, against the advice of many of her advisors. The announcement was broadcast globally. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she said, her face solemn on screens around the world, "I come to you today with news that will forever change our understanding of our place in the universe. We are not alone." The initial panic was intense. Religious leaders called for prayer. Conspiracy theorists claimed vindication. The stock market crashed, then strangely stabilized as people realized money might not matter soon anyway. But then something remarkable happened. Instead of descending into chaos, humanity began to unite. Old enemies set aside their differences. Resources were pooled. Scientists shared secrets they had kept for decades. A global effort unlike anything in human history took shape. Alan and Lisa continued their work at Arecibo, now with hundreds of assistants and the best equipment money could buy. 3 weeks after the president's announcement, they intercepted new signals. "The aliens are talking to each other," Alan said, his eyes wide as he studied the readouts. "And we're getting better at understanding them." The signals revealed the structure of what they now knew was called the Galactic Empire, a confederation of 7 advanced species that had conquered hundreds of worlds. The empire was led by beings called the Verkazeth, a name that was impossible for humans to pronounce correctly. "They're arguing," Lisa said as more translations came in. "Some believe our message, others think it's a trick." Morrison nodded. "That explains the split. The main fleet is hanging back while the reconnaissance ships come to check us out." The reconnaissance ships entered the outer solar system cautiously. Earth's telescopes could now see them, massive vessels that dwarfed anything humans had built. They were beautiful and terrifying, with designs that seemed to bend the rules of physics. "They're staying near Neptune," Alan reported. "Keeping their distance. That's good news for us." Project Warning had expanded. Every major nation was now building elaborate fakes, giant inflatable structures designed to look like defense installations from space, enormous light arrays that could create the illusion of energy shields, and mock spacecraft that were essentially hollow shells with impressive-looking exteriors. Morrison supervised the work from a new command center in Colorado. "It's all about selling the illusion," he told his team. "We don't need real weapons. We just need them to believe we have them." Then one day, an unexpected breakthrough came from a small town in Nebraska. A 22-year-old programming genius named Sam Phillips had been working independently on the alien language problem. He reached out to Project Warning with an algorithm that dramatically improved their translation capabilities. Within days, Sam was flown to Arecibo to work directly with Alan and Lisa. His algorithm revealed something shocking. The Galactic Empire wasn't just reconsidering their invasion, they were frightened of Earth. "They think we're something called the Sleeping Giants," Sam explained, showing Alan and Lisa his translations. "It seems there are legends in their culture about an ancient, powerful civilization that disappeared thousands of years ago. They think we might be the remnants of that civilization. That's why our bluff worked so well," Lisa said. "We accidentally tapped into their cultural mythology." Alan studied the translations. According to this, the ancient civilization had technology far beyond even what the Empire has now. They suddenly disappeared about 50,000 years ago, and no one knows why. "And now they think that's us?" Morrison asked when they brought him the news. "Yes," Sam nodded. "Our warning message included several technologies that matched their descriptions of the ancient civilization's capabilities. It was pure luck." "Not luck," Morrison said. "A golden opportunity. The reconnaissance ships had been in the outer solar system for nearly a month when they finally sent a message directly to Earth. It was a request for diplomatic contact. President Hudson called an emergency meeting of world leaders in the Project Warning team. "This is what we've been waiting for," she said. "A chance to convince them face to face." "It's also incredibly dangerous," Morrison warned. "If they see through our deception up close, the game is over." "What do they want?" asked the British. Prime Minister Lisa consulted her notes. "Based on our translations, they're proposing an alliance. They're offering advanced technology and protection. Protection from what? The Chinese president asked. They don't say specifically, Sam replied. But there are references to greater threats beyond the rim. We think there might be something out there that even the Empire fears. Morrison saw an opportunity. We should act reluctant. If we seem too eager, they'll suspect something. If we're really the remnants of this ancient, powerful civilization, we wouldn't need their help or technology. So we play hard to get, President Hudson said, nodding slowly. Make them court us. The plan was set. Earth would respond with measured interest but remain aloof. They would agree to a meeting, but insist it take place on a space station to be built in Earth orbit, giving humans home field advantage. The months of preparation had given humanity time to develop some real technology based on their observations of the alien ships. Nothing close to what they claimed to have, but enough to maintain the illusion up close. Howard Bell, a brilliant engineer who had made his fortune designing computer chips, led the team creating holographic technology. These projectors will make our representatives appear to be surrounded by advanced technology, he explained. The aliens will see what we want them to see. Ellen Reyes, a diplomat with decades of experience in difficult negotiations, was chosen to lead Earth's delegation. Remember, she told the team during their final briefing, we're not desperate, we're not impressed, we're ancient and powerful beings who have simply chosen to live quietly. The day of the meeting arrived. Ellen, along with Morrison, Alan, and Olivia, boarded the specially designed shuttle that would take them to the space station. The shuttle was ordinary on the inside but had been made to look incredibly advanced on the outside. As they ascended toward the waiting alien delegation, Ellen looked out the window at the Earth below. It's beautiful, she said softly. And worth fighting for, Morrison added. Alan nodded. One way or another, after today, nothing will ever be the same. The shuttle docked with the space station. The team checked their holographic projectors one last time. Then, with a deep breath, Ellen stepped forward as the airlock doors opened. Humanity's greatest diplomatic mission was about to begin. The aliens were not what anyone expected. There were 3 of them, each from a different species of the Galactic Empire. The leader was a Verkazeth named Ambassador Zorn. He stood nearly 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. His 4 eyes blinked independently of each other, and his mouth was a small horizontal slit that barely moved when he spoke through the translation device on his chest. The second alien was a Peltari, introduced as Science Minister, Veen. She was shorter, with 6 limbs and what looked like feathers covering her body. The third was a massive creature called a Drovak, named Security Chief Grell, whose body seemed to be mostly muscle beneath a thick, leathery hide. Ellen stepped forward, her holographic projector creating a subtle aura around her that made her appear slightly otherworldly. Welcome to Earth space, she said simply. I am Ellen Reyes, Chief Diplomat of the United Earth Coalition. Ambassador Zorn's 4 eyes focused on her. We are honored to meet the children of the ancients, he said, his translation device giving his words an oddly flat tone. For many cycles we believed your kind was lost to time. Ellen maintained a neutral expression, just as they had practiced. We have been here for quite some time, she said. Observing. Morrison stepped forward. I am Defense Commander Morrison. We were surprised to detect your invasion fleet. It has been many generations since anyone dared to approach Earth with hostile intent. The aliens exchanged glances. A regrettable misunderstanding, Ambassador Zorn said. We had no knowledge of your true nature. Our early scans suggested a young civilization, not the heirs of the ancients. Olivia spoke next, her holographic projector making the air around her seem to ripple with energy. I am Chief Scientist Wright. Your mistake is understandable. We have chosen to live simply on our homeworld. Many of our greatest achievements are not visible to outside observers. Science Minister Veen leaned forward with interest. Yet you maintain your defenses. Our scans detected energy patterns consistent with dimensional phase barriers around your planet. Alan felt a moment of panic. There were no such barriers. The energy patterns must have been the elaborate light shows Howard Bell had designed. He kept his face carefully blank. "We maintain necessary precautions," Morrison said smoothly. "Past experience has taught us the value of vigilance." The meeting continued for 3 hours. The humans walked a delicate line, neither confirming nor denying the aliens' assumptions about Earth being home to the sleeping giants. Instead, they let the aliens fill in the blanks themselves, which they did with increasing certainty. "The Empire wishes to propose a formal alliance," Ambassador Zorn said finally. "We offer technology, resources, and protection within our sphere of influence." Ellen raised an eyebrow, just as they had rehearsed. "An interesting proposal. What would Earth gain from such an arrangement that we do not already possess?" Security Chief Grell spoke for the first time, his voice so deep that it made the floor vibrate. "There are threats beyond the Empire's borders that concern even us. Ancient enemies that stir once more in the void between galaxies." Ellen exchanged glances with Morrison. This was new information. "We will consider your proposal," she said carefully. "Our council will need time to deliberate." "Of course," Ambassador Zorn said. "We understand that such decisions cannot be rushed. We will await your response." As the aliens returned to their ship, the human team maintained their composed facade. Only when they were back aboard their shuttle and heading toward Earth did they finally relax. "They bought it," Alan said, his voice filled with wonder. "They actually think we're these ancients they're so afraid of." "The holographic projectors worked perfectly," Olivia said. "They never suspected a thing." Morrison nodded. "But did you hear what the big one said? About threats beyond the Empire's borders? They're not just seeking an alliance because they're impressed with us, they're afraid of something else." "Could it be real?" Ellen asked. "Or is it just another tactic to get us to agree to their terms?" "Either way," Morrison said, "it gives us more time. They're not going to attack a potential ally, especially one they think might have hidden powers." Back on Earth, the news of the successful meeting spread quickly. President Hudson addressed the world again, explaining that the immediate threat of invasion had been averted. A new phase was beginning, one of careful negotiation with the Galactic Empire. Over the next weeks, more alien delegations arrived. Each was carefully managed, shown only what Earth wanted them to see. The deception grew more elaborate, but also more convincing with each visit. Howard Bell's team created an entire fake command center inside Mount Rushmore, complete with holographic displays of Earth's supposed galactic defense network. The aliens were suitably impressed, especially when the displays accidentally showed defense systems far beyond their own technology. Sam continued to refine his translation algorithm, providing ever more detailed understanding of the aliens' communications. What he discovered was encouraging. The Empire was now completely convinced that Earth was home to the descendants of the ancients. Their fear had turned to cautious respect. 3 months after the initial meeting, the Galactic Empire made a formal offer. They would provide Earth with access to their technology, including faster-than-light travel, advanced medical techniques, and clean energy systems. In return, they asked only for Earth's protection and the sharing of compatible ancient knowledge, when Earth deemed it appropriate. Ellen led the negotiations, carefully extracting concessions while giving away nothing of value. The final agreement, signed in a ceremony at the United Nations, gave Earth access to alien technology while committing humans to almost nothing concrete in return. As alien engineers began to set up technology demonstration sites around the world, Morrison met privately with President Hudson and the Project Warning team. "We're walking a dangerous line," he said. "We're getting real technology now, but the moment they realize we've been bluffing about being these ancients, they'll turn on us. Then we need to make sure they never find out," President Hudson said firmly. "And we need to use the technology they give us to build real defenses as quickly as possible." Olivia had been studying the alien technology closely. "Some of this stuff is incredible," she said. "Their faster-than-light drives alone would revolutionize our understanding of physics. If we can reverse engineer even a fraction of what they're giving us, how long would it take?" President Hudson asked. Years, normally, Olivia admitted. But with the whole world's scientists working together, and with alien engineers actually showing us how things work. Maybe months. Maybe weeks, for some systems. Alan had been quiet throughout the meeting, lost in thought. Finally, he spoke. There's something else we need to consider, he said slowly. What if there really are threats beyond the Empire's borders? What if that part wasn't a lie? The room fell silent as they considered this possibility. If there is, Morrison said, finally, then we'd better get really good at this deception game because we might need the Empire as much as they think they need us. 6 months passed. Earth changed rapidly as alien technology spread across the planet. Cities were transformed with clean energy systems. Hospitals used advanced medical devices that could cure diseases once thought fatal. Scientists worked day and night to understand and adapt the new technologies. But all was not well within the Galactic Empire. Ambassador Zorn had been recalled suddenly, replaced by Admiral Kreth, a hard-faced Verkazeth with a reputation for aggression. Unlike Zorn, Kreth seemed suspicious of Earth from the beginning. He doesn't trust us, Ellen told Morrison after a particularly tense meeting. He keeps asking to see our ancient technology storage facilities. Morrison frowned. We've managed to dodge those requests so far, but he's getting more insistent. Olivia joined them, her face showing both excitement and worry. I've made a discovery, she said, lowering her voice though they were in a secure room. I've been studying the Empire's ship engines, and I found something interesting. All their faster-than-light drives operate on the same quantum frequency. What does that mean? Ellen asked. It means they all have the same weakness, Olivia explained. If we could generate a field that disrupts that specific frequency, we could potentially disable their entire fleet's ability to travel faster than light. Maybe even shut down their weapons systems too. Morrison's eyes widened. Could we build something like that? With what we've learned from their technology? Yes, Olivia nodded. Howard Bell's team is already working on a prototype. Meanwhile, Sam had continued monitoring the Empire's communications. One evening, he burst into Morrison's office without knocking. We have a problem, he said, his face pale. Admiral Kreth sent a stealth probe to scan Earth thoroughly. It just reported back to him. Morrison felt his stomach drop. And? The scan revealed we don't have any of the ancient technology they thought we had. No dimensional phase barriers. No antimatter torpedoes. Nothing. Kreth now knows we've been bluffing, all along. Morrison immediately called an emergency meeting with President Hudson and the core team. As they gathered in the underground command center, satellite feeds showed a disturbing sight. The small contingent of Empire ships that had been in Earth orbit was moving away. They're leaving? President Hudson asked. Not leaving, Alan said, grimly studying the data. Repositioning, and look here. He pointed to a different screen showing deep space readings. The main fleet is moving again, toward us. President Hudson's face hardened. How long do we have? At their top speed. Maybe 3 days, Alan replied. Kreth isn't waiting for approval from his superiors, Ellen said. He's taking matters into his own hands. He's going to attack us for deceiving the Empire. Can we talk? To him, President Hudson asked. Explain why we did what we did. Ellen shook her head. I've tried. He's not responding to any communications. Then we need to prepare for the worst, Morrison said. Olivia, how's that disruption field coming along? Howard Bell says the prototype is ready for testing. It's not powerful enough to reach orbit yet, but they're working on scaling it up. They have 3 days to make it work, President Hudson said. Get them whatever they need. For the next 3 days, Earth prepared for battle. The disruption field generator was installed in a remote mountain facility, safe from orbital bombardment. Howard Bell worked without sleep, pushing his team to increase its power and range. On the 3rd day, the Empire fleet arrived. Over 100 massive warships took position around Earth, their weapon systems powering up. Admiral Kreth's voice came through on all frequencies. People of Earth, he said, his tone cold with contempt. You have deceived the Galactic Empire. You are not the descendants of the ancients. You are merely primitive liars who tricked us. For this crime, your world will be cleansed of all human life. Any other civilization would receive mercy, but your deception cannot be forgiven. President. Hudson stood before the world's assembled leaders in the emergency command center. Is the disruption field ready? She asked. Howard Bell nodded, his eyes red from lack of sleep. It's ready, Madam President, but we only get one shot. If it doesn't work, we have no backup plan. Then it has to work, she said simply. She turned to Morrison. Commander, give the order. Morrison picked up the secure phone. Activate the disruption field, he said. High in the mountain facility, engineers initiated the system. A pulse of invisible energy radiated outward from Earth, precisely, tuned to the quantum frequency used by all Empire ships. In orbit, the effect was immediate and dramatic. The enormous warships suddenly went dark. Their weapons powered down. Their engines died. They began to drift aimlessly in space. On Admiral Kreth's flagship, chaos erupted. What's happening? He demanded as his bridge crew rushed frantically around him. All systems are failing, his second-in-command reported. Drives, weapons, shields, everything's down. How is this possible? Kreth roared. Before anyone could answer, new ships appeared, Earth ships. They were few in number and crude compared to the Empire vessels, but they were functional. In the 6 months of technology sharing, humans had managed to build their own small fleet, incorporating what they had learned from the aliens, but using different operating principles. The Earth ships surrounded Kreth's flagship and forced it to land. The Admiral was taken into custody by Morrison personally. How did you do this? Kreth demanded as he was led away. How did primitive humans defeat the greatest fleet in the galaxy? Morrison smiled slightly. We may not be the ancients you feared, but we learned from you. You gave us the keys to your own defeat. In the aftermath, Ellen led a new round of negotiations, this time from a position of genuine strength. The Empire, shocked by the defeat of their fleet, agreed to peace terms. Earth would be recognized as a sovereign power, free from Empire control. But the most surprising revelation came during Kreth's interrogation. Alan was present when Morrison asked the crucial question. Who sent the original signal that warned us about your invasion plans? The one we detected from our solar system? Kreth's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. You truly don't know? It was the Liberation Front, a rebel faction within the Empire. They oppose our endless conquests. They deliberately leaked information about Earth in a way they knew you might detect. Why would they do that? Alan asked. Because they've been searching for a species capable of challenging the Empire, Kreth said bitterly. They found you. In the months that followed, Earth made contact with the Liberation Front. They learned that the threats beyond the Empire's borders were real. Ancient enemies that had been dormant for millennia were stirring once more. As humanity expanded into space using their new technologies, they detected signals from other worlds under threat from the Empire. President Hudson called a special session of the United Nations to make a decision. We know what it means to face extinction, she told the assembled leaders. We know what it means to have only one chance, one warning that changes everything. I propose we send our own warning to these other worlds. Help them as we were helped. The vote was unanimous. Earth would become a beacon of hope in the galaxy, sharing the warning that had saved humanity. The message was simple. The Galactic Empire is coming, but you don't have to face them alone. Alan Carter stood on the observation deck of Earth's first true starship, looking out at the stars. Lisa joined him, smiling as she handed him a cup of coffee. Did you ever imagine it would end like this when you detected that first signal? She asked. Never, he admitted. I was just looking for proof we weren't alone. Instead, we found our place in the galaxy. As the ship prepared to depart on its mission to warn other worlds, Alan thought about how far humanity had come. Their greatest weapon hadn't been technology or strength. It had been creativity and the courage to bluff when the stakes couldn't have been higher. A single warning had changed everything, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy.